Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Heat notes: Butler, Harrow, FA options, Rozier, draft. As reported a couple weeks ago by Anthony Chang of the Miami Herald, Heat forward Jimmy Butler is expected to seek a 2-year, maximum salary extension before the season begins. However, it is uncertain how the team will respond to that request from Butler. In a new story, Chang reviews Butler's 5th season with Miami, writing that there were both promising and worrying aspects of the campaign. Butler led the team most major advanced statistics even though many of his counting stats were down, and he was limited to just 60 regular season games, including being sidelined for the Heat's entire first-round series with Boston after sustaining a knee injury in the play-in tournament. As Chang writes, a potential extension would mean paying Butler a projected $58.6 million for his age 37 season in 2026/27. Only two players, LeBron James and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, have averaged 20-plus points per game in the postseason during a championship-winning campaign at age 35 or older. Butler will be 35 in September. Butler has led the Heat to 2 NBA Finals appearances in his 5 seasons with Miami, but how much longer can he maintain his current level? And what will he do if the team takes a wait-and-see approach to his impending request? Those are just two of the myriad questions the Heat must weigh regarding their best player's future with the organization, Chang notes. In a separate piece for the Miami Herald, Chang provides his season in review for Tyler Harrow, who missed 40 regular season games and struggled at times in the first-round loss to Boston. While Pat Riley said Harrow needs to get stronger to hold up to the rigors of a long season, head coach Eric Spoelstra praised the 24-year-old's work ethic and expects him to continue to evolve. "He'll probably take about the same amount of days off that I'll take, and then he'll get right back to work and learn from these experiences," Spoelstra said. Most young players, when they make their big jumps, it's usually from some disappointments that happen in the playoffs, and it drives you with experience. It's always the best teacher. As a team expected to be over at least the first tax apron, the Heat will have relatively limited options at their disposal in free agency, writes Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald. That's largely due to the money, $51.56 million, owed to Terry Rozier over the next 2 seasons. When the Heat acquired him in a January trade, they were well aware of the future luxury tax ramifications, but believed he'd make a bigger impact than the players available on the open market for the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, according to Jackson, who points out that Rozier's salary could be a useful matching piece in a star-level trade. While many talent evaluators have stated the 2024 NBA draft class lacks top-end talent, VP of Basketball Operations and Assistant GM Adam Simon pushed back on that notion, per Ira Winderman of the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. Simon said he will continue to be focused on the best available players on the board when the team makes its selections. The Heat currently control the numbers 15 and 43 picks, with Winderman noting they've had success drafting in the middle of the first round, Harrow, Bam Adebayo, and Jamie Jaquez. "I'm not drafting for the team we have," Simon said. "I'm going to recommend the players 1 through 15, 1 through 58, based on who I think the best players are. The last thing I want to do is we pass on a player who was better because we took a player based on need." Miami Heat exec says team's roster will change this summer, "It's just inevitable." Miami Heat Vice President of Basketball Operations and Assistant General Manager Adam Simon believes that the roster will change in this coming offseason. Miami has the number 15 overall pick in the first round of the 2024 NBA Draft and number 43 selection in the second round of the draft, picks that Simon believes the team will use to take the best player available. "I'm not drafting for the team we have," Simon said. "I'm going to recommend the players 1 through 15, 1 through 58, based on who I think the best players are. Our roster changes. Our roster could change this summer. Our roster will change. It's just inevitable, free agents, whether some players are with us in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 15 years. So the last thing I want to do is we pass on a player who was better because we took a player based on need. Naturally, Miami's roster may change just based on some players that are set to hit free agency. Caleb Martin, Kevin Love, Josh Richardson and Thomas Bryant all have player options for the 2024-25 season that they could decline to hit unrestricted free agency. Martin will likely be highly sought after in the market if he chooses to enter, with one rival front office official believing that he could get a deal near $13 million per season in the offseason. Haywood Highsmith, who is set to become a restricted free agent, is also a player that could end up leaving Miami's roster this coming offseason. For Simon and the front office, it will be key to replenish the roster or bring some of these players back if the Heat want to compete for an NBA title in the 2024-25 season. Miami's core was ravaged during the offseason following the 2022-23 campaign, as Gabe Vincent signed with the Los Angeles Lakers and Max Strus was sent to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a sign-and trade. That forced the Heat to change their rotation, turning to young players like Jamie Jaquez Jr. and Nikola Jovic. In addition, the Heat added veterans like Bryant and Richardson in free agency. Miami's financial flexibility is a little more limited than expected entering this offseason after it orchestrated a trade for Terry Rozier during the 2023-24 season. Originally, Miami would have had Kyle Lowry's contract coming off the books, but since he was moved in the trade, the Heat now have Rozier under contract for the next 2 seasons. Simon and President Pat Riley will have their work cut out for them to build the best roster possible around Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo for next season. Insider reveals likelihood of potential Kevin Durant trade to Heat. Since 2010, the Miami Heat have done a solid job of luring some of the biggest stars in the league to South Beach. The list includes LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, and Chris Bosh. Could they do the same with Phoenix Suns star Kevin Durant? According to ESPN's Brian Windhorst, it doesn't appear that way for the time being. During his May 14 appearance on The Pat McAfee Show, Windhorst revealed how legitimate the rumors are about Durant. So, to be clear, I have not heard anything like that, Windhorst said. I have not heard anything about the Heat and Durant in a legitimate capacity. This could very well change as the offseason progresses, seeing that both the Heat and the Suns face uncertainty. After being ousted in the first round and having aging stars like Durant and Jimmy Butler, they could help each other out. The Heat could offer the Suns a way to bail themselves out by offering first-round picks and matching contracts for Durant. Getting Durant at the tail end of his prime could vault the Heat into title contention. However, there has yet to be any confirmation from NBA insiders that Durant wants out. The recent Kevin Durant rumors tying him to the Heat started with former NFL star wide receiver Chad Johnson. Johnson revealed Durant's interest in joining the Heat on the May 7 episode of UNC and Ocho with Shannon Sharpe. I had a lengthy conversation with Durant, Johnson said. He said he would have no problem coming down to Miami if it made sense and what pieces the Heat are able to keep and surround him with to make sure they have a chance to be able to contend for a title. Acquiring Durant would be tricky for the Heat if they intend to surround him with a contender, primarily because of his expensive contract. Durant will make over $100 million over the next 2 seasons. If the Heat want to keep Butler and Bam Adebayo, it would start with Tyler Herro and Terry Rozier, but such a package may not interest the Suns much. This was the same problem the Suns had when they acquired Durant in 2023. They managed to make the money work, but only by trading their highest-paid non-stars like Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, and Jay Crowder. Doing so deprived them of their depth. On the May 13 episode of ESPN's First Take, Stephen A. Smith claimed that Durant is not happy with the current situation with the Suns. Kevin Durant in Phoenix is a problem, Smith said. They say Kevin Durant is never happy, they say he went more than a month without even talking to the head coach, and they say he doesn't look happy there. If this turns out to be true, Miami could consider acquiring Durant, but again, keeping most of their core while getting him would be hard. Not only is he expensive, but Durant also has grown sour with every team situation he's been in outside of Phoenix. There's no telling if Miami would be immune to that. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Kevin Durant? Leave your opinion in the comments.